you, Anya.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you. I'm very happy to be here with you on this workshop, as I enjoy this kind of activities very much. And for today, I prepared a short lecture, and I'm going to show you 3 examples of recently renovated small squares in my hometown, Opole. So you can maybe get some inspiration and some examples of good practices for your projects. We'll see. But before we start that, I want to introduce a little bit more about Opole and our university, because maybe not all of you are familiar. So we are the city of Opole, southern west of Poland. This region is called Silesia. In Polish, it's Śląsk. And we have lower Silesia, upper Silesia, and we are in the middle. We are in the middle, we are Opole, Silesia. And because we are very close to Czech Republic and to Germany, this is a very particular region of Poland that also has its own language and particular food and traditions. Opole is not such a big city, it's a medium city in terms of Polish cities. We are with the population of 130,000 people, more or less. And we are quite a student city because we have a population of over 20,000 students on main 4 universities. And here you can see the picture of downtown Opole, with the river, with the cathedral, and the tower of the city hall in the background. In Poland, Opole is known as the capital of Polish song, because we host a very well-known and important national song contest that Luca had the chance to attend for at least one. And we have this beautiful amphitheater, which is also a very nice construction of a concrete shell. And in the back there, you can see the remains of medieval Piast tower. That was the tower of a Piast castle, which were the dynasty that ruled Poland from medieval times. What did they? Can you do? Yeah. Okay, so moving from the city to the university, Politechnika Opolska has, well, it's not so old as the Pavia University, because we cannot really compete with something like that. We are quite young university. We have a tradition of over 50 years. We are a public high-tech university. We provide education mostly in technical sciences, but also we have economics, management, logistics, tourism, and physiotherapy. And we are the biggest university in the region, and also have a lot of cooperation with international universities. And if you move to the next one, we have cooperation with over 100 European universities, with Pavia, of course. And recently, we also joined the Creative EU Consortium, which is also a special kind of collaboration with 11 universities from the world. To the next one, we have 7 faculties, because last week we got another one, so it's a little bit outdated, but we are one of the 7 faculties, Faculty of Civil Engineering and Architecture. We can do the next one. And in our faculty, we have 2 main fields of study, architecture and civil engineering. So now we go slowly to the topic of my lecture. So this is the downtown of Opole. And here, marked in the violet rectangular, this is the main city square, the market square. This is the Faculty of Civil Engineering and Architecture. This is more or less the distance of 10 minutes by walk. And here are the three squares that I'm going to show you today. And they are really close to one another. One is connected to the main train station, and the other two are really close from the main market square. And also, as you can see in this slide, Opole is a city by the river. So we have a river, Odra, and some canals, smaller flowing water. And also, as Opole has a long tradition of cement factories. There were 9 cement factories at the end of the 19th century in Opole. At the moment, only one is still working, but we have quite a lot of these ponds that are, let's say, a residue of. They've taken the clay and the limestone, and this was left and then filled up with water. And now we use that for different purposes. For example, the one that you see here, Kamionka Piast, is recently used for divers and also for recreation. But you cannot swim in this one. But we can, and we can move on. So let's start from Mały Rynek, which means small market square in Polish. This is the main market square of Opole, so the distance is really, you can see it's not far away, it's just 2 blocks. And it has a very particular shape because it's triangular, so it's not very common shape for a market square. It was at the edge of the medieval city, so it was this is more or less the place where the city walls were going, so that's why the shape is like this. And we can move on. And it was established in medieval times, around the 13th century. And first, it served as a market space where you could trade with textiles and fabric, particularly. And later also, as you can see on the picture, this is the beginning of the 20th century. This is a fire brigade celebration, something of that. But that was also a place for some religious purposes, because in this building there was an order of, in one was order of Jesuit, and the other one was I don't remember now the name, but a female order. We can move on. So what happened later when the market lost its significance and also its appearance? It was a little bit forgotten and neglected. And even I remember from the, let's say, 20 years ago, no one was really going into Mały Rynek. It was nothing really happening. And as you can see in the picture, it served mostly for parking spot because it was close to the main market square, so you can park your car there and went do your business. But it was really ugly in a way and really not alive. So the next one. In 2011, there was a competition for a new project for this market. And it was won by the Basis Architectural Office. So this is an office from Wrocław. And they proposed, I will show in the picture in a moment, but just to, you can have a look at the plan. So they proposed a grid of like a punctuations of small grass beds and some trees. And the trees were positioned in a way that it accentuate more the one wall of the square, because as you can see, this is quite well defined. This is quite well defined, and this is all in a different shades. So this serves as a definition of the interior of the market, but also as a transition between the road, because the cars still can pass here on the edge. So to create a more secluded, more quiet, and a bit more friendly space inside. So this is the picture, this is the visualization from the competition. I also like to show the visualization and then the real situation so you can compare the effect. And this is the first picture I've chosen is to really stress the contrast between what was before and how is it now. Here you can see the Mały Rynek during the football championships last year. It's full with people and it's really alive. And this is the drone picture of Mały Rynek as it is now after the revitalization. So you can clearly see the recreation zone. You can see the shaded zone below the trees with some lights. And you can see the transition zone for the movement of the cars. And now as we move to the, let's say, eye level, we can really experience how the space improved after the revitalization. So here we have this zone under the trees that creates a shadow that it's really pleasant to sit on. We have the small grass beds that sometimes they are used for the tree to grow. Sometimes they're just used as let's say a punctuation of the rhythm in the floor. And there's a lot of space for different activities. So you can sit, you can relax, you can put your stuff. There are some benches. There are some benches with the tables. There are some benches without the tables. So it allows a lot of activities, and they are all in a nice surrounding. And the second square, this is Plac Świętego Sebastiana. And actually the competition I just told you about consisted of design of these two squares. They're really close to one another. So this is, let's say, another step. It's the same architectural office that did the project. And just to give you a short background of the square, it was actually not a square for a long time in history. It was first built up with some wooden houses that were destroyed during the fire in more or less the 17th century. And from that on, the place remained unbuilt, and it was even called Unbuilt Market for a moment, because it was built before, so that was a distinguished feature they want to stress. And then later, in this place where you can now see the church, there was a tavern where a rumor has it that there was a trader who came from far away and brought a plague to the city. So it was the place where the plague started, and it was really severe. So it killed almost half population of the Opole. But when it finished, the citizens were so happy that the plaque is finished that they offered a votive church to build to commemorate this event. And from that on, the church was San Sebastian Church, and the square is called San Sebastian Square from that on. I was looking hardly for some historical pictures, but I could not really find the well one. But you can see already in this picture that the square had already some greenery in the past. This is the picture from more or less 70s. We can go on. But during the time, the greenery, although there was a greenery in the square, the greenery was not well maintained. It was not, cutted and taken care of. And also the space in between the greenery was used to park your cars. So it was actually very unfriendly space. In spite of the presence of greenery, it was very unfriendly. Had to move in between the cars because it was very narrow. So then again in the same 2011 was the competition, but then it was later implemented, and you can see the project. So it follows basically similar idea as the Mały Rynek. So we have the grid with some greenery, and especially because here we have the church, and here the gray thing is actually a missing building. So we are not having here a full city block, but we have a city block with some cutout. So the trees were planted here, again, to create a shadow environment, a friendly space to sit on, but also to define this wall of this space a little bit more, and also give a distance to accentuate the entrance to the church. And again, I show you the visualization so you could compare how it was implemented. And here we can see a picture taken from below the trees. looking into the Church of San Sebastian, there were planted 36 new trees, also together with this, with now it looks really not yet well, with the small places for bushes, and also the ground fountain that helps to cool the space a little bit, and also gives the possibility for some, let's say, playful involvement. Also, the square is equipped with some small city furniture, so you can even have like a thing to play chess, for example, so to involve a little bit more social interaction between the, let's say, inhabitants and passerby. Okay, and we are moving to the last one. This is the square in front of the train station in Opole. So this is the building of the train station. This is the main post office. This is some hospital. This is a bus stop, let's say, but really a big one at the moment. Some hotels, and via this road you can go to the main market square. So it's really important, busy place. And at the moment it's called Kora Square, and Kora is a famous singer, and that leads us again to the Polish song contest that I told you about before. So some information on the historical background of the station square. Of course, the station, it's a very important function and feature in the city, and it also has some of representational, let's say, meaning. So the square in front of the station is a very important point in the city. Here you can have a how more or less it looked in the 30s. And then afterwards, some features of the original square remained, like the greenery and some of these small elements, and obviously the building. But the place itself, and you can see on the picture from 2010 or less, it was really in a bad condition. I mean, this is a space of conflict of many different types of activities. We have people rushing to the train. We have taxi where you want to have a taxi and go home. You have some small shops. So a lot of movement, a lot of people in a rush, but not really a friendly environment. So in 2018, there was a competition to remodel the square and really give it a meaning and appearance that this kind of square should have. The competition was won by the SM Architekci, which is again a local architect firm. This time, this one is from Opole, and they decided to clean up this space that was in between the street and the train station, to move the cars at the edge of it, so make also like a centralized space also for the taxis and everything, and keep this more as a recreation and a place of greenery. So here is a zoom up of the solution, and we can go to particular solutions that were introduced. So you can see already the slopes with grass, different types of grass. So we have, I'm not particularly good on the names of grass, but the normal grass and let's say bigger, more bushy grass that gives a different appearance, and also gives you some sensorical features like sound, etc. And then also on the hills, you can see some plants, like a bulb plants that give color, and they are also good for the pollinators. So this helps this square not only to have trees and grass, but also something in between. Here you can see also the different types of like half shadow and shadow, so a kind of pergola that gives the possibility to cast shadow on the ground. And here we have also some solutions for a pavement. So we have a normal pavement that allows you to move quickly from point A to B and to go to the station. But you can also go with a little bit down with some civic spots or civic areas, which is of course a different type of movement. So you can stay for a moment. And also something interesting, there is a space for kids to play, a playground on one of these hills. So in this way, they try to accommodate different kind of activities in one space where you move, or you can stay, or you can, let's say, play with the kids. And I think that's it for today. Of course, I'm open for any questions if you have. I leave you with this beautiful picture of Opole at the end. So, and of course, I invite you all to visit us either for another beat or another activity in Opole.
Does anybody have? No question.
Everyone is tired.
Yes.
Yes?
Since these three cases, right?
3 cases.
Are in very specific areas in the city. Were there any, let's say, opening discussion, open discourse for people to do their ideas or to describe what are the things that the spaces would like to be before or during the designing process?
Mm-hmm. 2 things I can say about this. First of all, they were all the project that you've seen. They were all the result of open competition. So anyone could, and I mean, professional architectural offices were invited to prepare a project. They were asked to prepare a project on that, and they were judged by a kind of composed jury that could assess the idea. So in this way, it was open for discussion, but unfortunately, they were not designed with elements of participation. So this is something that
taking into account both needs.
Yeah, exactly. And since you're asking about this, it's a very good question because, for example, for Mały Rynek, if we go back and a little bit more, the triangular one.
The first one.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, so for this one, after the competition, there was a lot of, let's say, well, maybe not a protest, but people were not happy. Like, you are taking parking spots. Where can I park my car? What are the stupid trees? We don't like them. Why are we having this kind of chairs and not different ones? So really people expressed some doubts. But when I was preparing for this lecture, I looked on some, like old articles in the newspapers. And actually I found an article that people were asked, because it's already like 10 years old, people were actually happy, finally, with the result of the square. But what must have happened? They are happy now because the trees are big. And now they can really appreciate the value that really changed between the empty square and the square with a lot of shadow and the chairs under the shadow. So it's also very important, I think, at some point to communicate not only, the project, but also how it will change during time, so the people are not disappointed that they are not getting the results they imagine immediately, because it's tree, so it needs a time to grow, obviously. But now, if you go to Opole, it's probably the place where you go for a beer.
So I guess that what comes out of what you said is that we need to communicate the long-term benefits to the people in order for every project to be welcome from the community, right?
Also keep in mind and communicate with people that if you work with real, like, nature, it will not be always the same. It will be different during time. So the first year will be maybe not yet 100% satisfactory for everyone, but they will improve. But also it will change during the seasons, etc. So people really realize, also we realize what we are doing, and if we are taking into consideration that aspect.
One question. Is I mean, me coming from Athens and here in Italy, the climate's really different, and I'm guessing that will result in different types of vegetation. But I'm surprised that there is such a need for that amount of trees, because usually thinking that there is a cold climate, you would need more sun and less shade, I guess. But how does this work?
Well, generally speaking, we are more into the continental climate.
Yeah.
So in Poland, you can get a very cold winter, but you can get very hot summer. So 35 degrees like this can happen for quite a long time during the summer months.
We went last year for a big cruise to Opole, and it was very.
It was like this kind of weather we are having now here.
Even a little bit more last year.
Coming from Italian person. So yeah, actually we are seeking for two things. We want to protect from the heat and from the sun in the summer, but also because of the winter that could be really cold, not snowy anymore, but still cold. We seek to go outside a lot during summer and spring. So I think that even that makes that we really want to be outside, even if it's very warm.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anya.